So my name is Alister. I've been a counselor since 2014. I've worked in primary schools, secondary schools, and with adults as well, dealing things from depression, anxiety, self-harm, domestic and sexual abuse. So yeah, cover all these things, trauma as well. Emotional first aid for me, I would say, is similar to the first aid that people usually hear. If someone is choking, what can I do? Someone fall down, what can I do? Well, we also have something called emotional first aid. Okay, when someone is crying, what are the do's and don'ts? If someone's going through a panic attack, what can I do to help? If I see someone feeling a bit down, or I see some unhealthy behavior that someone is doing, what can I do? Because oftentimes we don't really know how to approach it, and what do we do? We close our eyes and pretend it never happened. Well, no, that's not the case. If we see someone have a car accident, we don't just drive away and pretend nothing happened. I think we need to be a bit more comfortable approaching people, obviously with sensitivity, obviously with compassion, obviously with love, and just hear them out. So I think emotional first aid is something I really hold close to my heart, because I think it's oftentimes neglected. I think it's oftentimes frowned upon. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I want to give this module, I guess. Yeah. I think the segment that I'm really looking forward to talking about is the part where I try to come across to them that certain emotions are expected, certain emotions are normal, and and that we shouldn't just self-diagnose ourselves, because I think that would be a mistake. I always tell people that if something bad happens to you, for example, someone passed away, it's okay to be sad, because that's the expected behavior. And it might not come straight away, it might come weeks later on, but I think that's normal. And I always joke to my clients that if someone passed away and you came into the session smiling, I would call the police, because I'll be quite concerned. But yeah, it's just to normalize emotions, to lower down the stigma that we will go through some tough days, some rough days, and I think we need to expect that. But it's also to learn that, okay, these things will happen. What can I do to move forward? What can I do to take care of myself, to take care of someone who might be going through these things, and recognizing that maybe I don't have to ask them to get over it. Sometimes it's okay to just let them be, whether it's sad, whether it's anxious, whether it's being angry. I think that's fine, as long as we do things within a safe way and a controlled manner. I think that's fine. I think one thing that people will find interesting or will take away from this course is that it's not rocket science. It's just the simple things. For example, not shouting at someone makes a massive difference. Listening to someone without interrupting makes a massive difference. But, and people say that, we need to do big things to help people. No. Sometimes the small things add up and actually means a lot. Because if you don't nail the small things, the important things, there's no point in saying the right things. If I'm saying the right things and shouting at you, it's not going to work, is it? So I think what people will find quite shocking is the small things actually do matter. And then we don't think about the small things until someone says it. It's like, oh, yeah. So I think I'm really looking forward to that. That is not rocket science. You don't need to be an expert. All these are quite common sense, but it's just not in our awareness. So I think my greatest hope is again, just to lower down the stigma when it comes to mental health. Just to tell people that there are help available, that there are people who care, there are people that are willing to listen, and that the most important thing is everybody has to play in this. You can't just rely on doctors. You cannot just rely on counselors. You cannot just rely on psychologists, because if you take the whole population of Brunei, not even one quarter are doctors or counselors, isn't it? There are many people in other fields: engineers, mechanics, accountants, teachers, cleaners, whatever it may be. You guys have a role. Don't just look at the Ministry of Health. Look at yourselves, basically. So I guess my aim is to put the question back to you guys, to put the responsibility back to you guys. We have knowledge, we are trained, yes, but you guys have a more important role than we do, which might be controversial, but it's true. Because I'm not in your family. I'm not in your circle of friends. I'm not in your workplace. But you are, and you have a role. You can connect to those people that I don't have a connection to. So, which I think is quite an exciting prospect, isn't it? That I have a role to combat this stigma when it comes to mental health. I don't need to wait for the Ministry of Health to do something. And I know they're doing a great job, but the Ministry of Health cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. The doctors cannot do it alone without the cooperation of the public. So I think that's my greatest hope.